What's going on, guys? Welcome back to Nutrition Basics episode 2. Today I'm going to build off of the last episode 1 where we talked about energy balance, and we established that if you're in a calorie surplus, you're going to gain weight. If you're in a calorie deficit, you're going to lose weight. And if you're eating at your maintenance calories, you're not going to gain or lose weight. You're just going to maintain your weight. So today we're going to calculate your maintenance calories, which is so crucial to know, because if you don't know your maintenance calories, then you're never going to know if you're in a surplus, or you're never going to know if you're in a deficit. And this is the first step on the whole journey of hitting your goal. You need to know your maintenance calories, and a lot of people have trouble figuring this out. So I'm going to lay out all the steps you need to do to get a really close estimate to where your maintenance calories is, so you can put in the work and get shit done. A lot of people have some different ways of going about finding your maintenance calories, and the one I have found to be the most effective is using trial and error. Now, to start it off, you want to use an online calculator to get a very rough estimate of your maintenance calories. It's going to use some complicated equation that you don't need to know. All you need to do is put in the proper statistics for yourself. It's going to ask you like your activity level, your weight, your height, your age, all that stuff. And I want you to put that in, and then it's going to give you a number out. Let's say for me, it gave me the number 2,500 calories as my maintenance calories. Now, once I have this amount of calories, I want to do some trial and error for the next 2 weeks. So I will eat at this amount of calories for 2-3 weeks, and I will see how my body reacts to these calories, if I'm losing weight or if I'm gaining weight or if I'm actually maintaining. Because chances are this could not be your maintenance. There's always going to be outliers. Everyone's different. They're using some base equations to calculate your maintenance calories here, which isn't always suitable for everybody. So trial and error is super important. Don't just use what the calculator gives you. You want to do some trial and error to see if you're gaining or losing weight. So if I'm eating 2,500 calories and I'm actually losing weight on these calories, then I'm in a deficit, and that's not my maintenance calories. So I'm gonna want to add in some calories and eat at, let's say 2,700 calories, and then do another week of trial and error and see if I'm gaining or losing weight or if I'm actually maintaining. And chances are, if I upped it by 200, I'd probably be maintaining, which is great. So 2,500 or 2,700 calories would be around my maintenance. But if I was eating 2,500 calories and I noticed I was gaining weight, I would be in a calorie surplus, and I would actually lower my calories by, let's say 200. That's just a rough example. You don't need to do 200. And eat 2,300 calories. And there, if I was maintaining my weight, that would be my maintenance. So this trial and error is super important. If you don't do trial and error, that calculation could be a couple hundred calories off. Like, everyone's different. It could be very accurate for you. It could be dead on, and that could be your maintenance calories. But there's a lot of outliers, especially for people that have a lot of body fat on them. It tends to be less accurate. If you're leaner, it tends to be more accurate. It really depends. So make sure you do this trial and error phase, trust me. Now, one of the most important skills you need to develop is how to track your calories properly. I have a full video on this using MyFitnessPal. It's in the cards here, I just linked it. You really need to know how to do this if you want to see long-term progress. Tracking your calories is so crucial. You'll never know how many calories you're eating. Like, you could just have one extra scoop of peanut butter, and that's an extra 200 calories, and you're way off. And then you think you're eating a certain amount of calories, and then you're not, because you forgot to track that extra peanut butter thing, or you didn't weigh it out properly. You guessed it was only 20 grams, but it was 50. So you see what I mean? There's a lot of error that can come from not tracking properly, and it can really mess up the amount of calories you think you're eating. And then you're gonna be discouraged, because you're gonna be like, I'm eating this low of calories, how am I not losing weight? And it's gonna be really draining, and you're gonna feel like you're stuck. But you really need to invest in a food scale and weigh out your food to the gram if you want to see insane proper progress. That's the most important thing you need to learn from this fitness journey, is how to track your food. And if you do this, it's going to be awesome in years to come. You're going to be able to intuitively eat and not track. You're going to be able to guess food. Like, I could guess how much 2,500 calories is. I could be off by maybe 100 to 50 calories, but a normal person who hasn't tracked like a lot like me would not be able to do that. They'd probably end up eating like 3,000 calories because they don't know how many calories are in certain foods. But I do, because I've been tracking for a while, and I want you to develop the same skill. It's super important. Like, you can use this skill when you're going out to eat. Let's say you get a pasta bowl and you can guess how many calories are in it, and then you plug the calories into MyFitnessPal and it's really close. So really important skill to develop. Invest in a food scale, and it's going to be really essential for knowing your maintenance calories exactly. And knowing your maintenance calories is very essential for down the line, because your maintenance calories won't change too much over the time. They will eventually, but not by like a shit ton. Now, I know some of you guys may be stressed out at the thought that tracking your food every day is not going to be healthy for you, or it's going to mess with your head. And I get that. I know people that have issues with tracking their food, but I want you to get away from the idea that you need to hit your calories and macros 100% to the number, to the gram. You don't need to do that. If you're within like 5% of error, like, you're fine. There's no need to stress out about hitting your calorie right down to the exact calorie goal you're setting. If you're off by 30 calories, whatever, that's perfectly fine. You're still going to see progress. You just want to be within that range of like 5% error, which is very doable if you're tracking your food. Now, I know some of you guys may not want to track your food at all. You might think it's a really big burden on your life, and I know you're thinking that right now, but once you get into it and learn the new skill, it's going to be so useful for the rest of your life. Like, it's one of the most important skills I've developed in my fitness journey, probably the most important, tracking your food, because you know how many calories are in certain foods, and later on in life you probably won't even need to track because you can guess so well, and a lot of people do that. But if you want to get that really insane 1% physique eventually, you're going to need to know how to track your calories. If you just want to lose some weight and get to a more normal, healthy body fat, and you probably can avoid tracking your calories completely. There's other methods to use, like just eating high fiber, high protein, intermittent fasting, other ways like that to limit your caloric intake throughout the day without having to track your calories. But eventually, if you're doing that, you're gonna hit a roadblock when you're eating super healthy, everything. You're eating high protein, high fiber, but you're still not gonna lose weight because you're not in a calorie deficit anymore because you're not tracking properly. Anyway, you don't need to track, but it is the most optimal way to know how many calories you're eating, and it's very, very useful, and I recommend you learn this skill, but don't get too stressed out about hitting the numbers exactly. It's not a big deal if you make a mistake. It's really not. Alright, so I'm going to go through an online calculator example on my phone with you guys, so I'm going to link the calorie calculator I used in the description below. It really doesn't matter too much because the most important part is what you're going to do after when you're doing your trial and error and adjusting your calories if needed. The one I used was just caloriecalculator.net. Super simple one. I found it to be decently accurate. Anyway, so on here you just have to put your stats in, whatever units you use. I use the US units, some Canadian, age 20, height, it's accurate, 210, and the activity level is super crucial. Be fairly honest. Like, if you don't exercise, say it, because it's going to really impact your calories, and it's just taking into account an estimate of how many calories you're burning through exercise every week. Okay, so it gave me 2,884 calories, 2,884 calories as my maintenance, and honestly that's pretty accurate, like almost 100% on. I eat around 2,800, 2,900 calories to maintain my weight every day. That's what I'm eating right now. So this one was fairly accurate for me. It might not be for you. And don't pay attention to what's below it on the mild weight loss, extreme weight loss. Don't just do the extreme weight loss because you see it's going to make you lose 2 pounds a week. It's just, you're going to lose a lot of muscle. I've already talked about it a lot, but yeah, do not just cut calories by 1,000 like that. So what I want you to do after you have this calorie intake is to do 2 to 3 weeks of trial and error, even 4. So let's say I was eating 2,800 calories, 2,900, whatever, and I noticed I was actually losing weight. I want to add in around 200 calories from that 2,900, because if I was eating that amount of calories and I was losing weight, that means I was in a deficit. So I'm going to add in 200 calories to eat around 3,100 calories. eat at that amount of calories for a week and see if I'm actually maintaining, which I probably should be, because if you add in 200 calories, it can be really close. Or the other way around, let's say I was gaining weight on 2,900 calories, 2,800, and what I would do is lower the calories a bit because I was in a calorie surplus. So if I lower it by 200, it may be very close to my maintenance, and then do that for a week and see how your body reacts. This is where tracking really comes into play. You need to know how many calories you're eating. It's super important. So once you have done your trial and error, then you know your maintenance calories, and from this you can create your calorie deficit and you can create your calorie surplus depending on your goal of weight gain or weight loss. And I'm going to talk about that more in episode 3, where we calculate your macronutrients and how to calculate your calorie deficit. So make sure you stay tuned to that. Make sure to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Follow me on TikTok, Instagram, and I'll see you in the next one.